Gemini, March 2018, and this is for anyone who has their sun or rising or moon in Gemini. Often women feel the moon sign very strongly because women are more susceptible to feelings and emotions. Not susceptible, but they're more in tune with their feelings and emotions, let's say it this way. But people in the Western world very strongly feel their sun sign, because the sun sign is about free will, about our goals, about our career, and the Western world is all about, follow your dreams, achieve your goals, achievements, But the ascendant sign is the fated one, is the one that is basically what is tangibly happening to you as well. So I would advise always to start with the rising, continue to the sun, moon. Okay, so what does March hold for Gemini? Let's see. There are two planets that are going retrograde, guys. And one of them is your planet. It's this time of the year again where your planet starts moving backwards. And by the way, that's why Gemini are known as one of the most flexible and adaptable sign with many faces, because you are the only sign, together with Virgo, whose planet becomes retrograde 2-3 times a year, 3 times for certain, which means that retrogradation is when there's surprises thrown at us, when we have to adapt a different path, when we have to recalculate and replan. We have to be extremely flexible. So retrograde period can be extremely productive. They can bring a lot of very powerful results. Because the planet which is retrograde is much closer to Earth. In this case, Mercury will be super close to Earth. So very important events happen in your life when Mercury is retrograde, especially when it's strong as well. But the most important thing is that you have to be flexible, you have to be prepared for plan B, for plan C. And Gemini are fantastic at that. They know most Geminis, they know, they call them double-faced or whatever, so they can quickly adapt to surprising circumstances. But let's start, and we have another planet that's going retrograde, that's Jupiter. And Jupiter is going retrograde in your 6th house, guys, and will stay retrograde till July for almost 4 months. So, what does it mean? 6th house is your work, 6th house is your health, 6th house is routines. So, and Jupiter goes retrograde in your 6th house once every 12 years only. So you have a unique chance now to, retrogradation is about trying to incorporate something much deeper into your life. Because if planets were just moving forward, would do this new thing, that new thing, and never kind of really integrate something deep, make it your own. When it's retrograde, you retrieve, you start it moving backwards, so you start making whatever new experiences you've been having in the last few months. You have to deepen them, integrate them more into your life, make them your own, think over them, and create something more unique that has part of you in it as well. So this 6th house, Jupiter going retrograde in your 6th house, what can you expect? Well, there might be some work projects, because 6th house is of course work, that are coming from you from the past to be redone over the next 3-4 months, that need extra effort. A retrograde planet requires 3 times more effort. I'm talking about retrograde planets, I'm getting out of breath. And retrograde planets require 3 times more efforts because they're much closer to Earth, so their energy is 3 times more intense. So they're really like Jupiter is standing on top of you and demanding that you work the 6th house better. And 6th house is about working through some project, maybe revising it at work, maybe having to put your extra back at it, extra knowledge, because Jupiter is the planet of knowledge, of course. Extra effort in it to complete it or to fix it or to somehow change it in some way. And as I always say, by the time Jupiter turns direct, even if there were some delays in regards to your work, in regards to projects of your work, when it starts moving direct, you would have by that time fixed those things, integrated those surprising circumstances happening in your work environment, and you'd be would have improved the situation there, and the results are 3 times more lasting. So even if you thought you already, oh, I have this project, I'm releasing it, this work, you might be, the boss might say, oh, redo it again, or we have to start it all over again, and you're like, oh, damn, this is frustrating. We have to do it in a new way, or in a different way, or whatever. And you have to, or you have a plan to release some project or whatever, but it turns out you have to work extra hard on it for a few months to make it more personable, to integrate it better, and the results after that from July, when Jupiter turns direct, will be more positive. 6th house is also health routines and duties. So you might some health problem from the past might resurface when Jupiter goes retrograde in your 6th house. Something that you vomited, it can come back to the surface again. But Jupiter, because it's a benefic, also allows you to find the solution to a problem. And the 6th house is health problems or work problems of any sort. Or mental health or psychological, emotional health, any of those things that are out of balance. So even if one such situation comes from the past, again, Jupiter also will bring solutions to it. But it requires you to dig deeper, to research more again, to look, for alternatives. Retrogradation is about looking for alternatives and putting more efforts in it. And by the end of this period, you might have, when Jupiter starts moving forward again in July, you might have found a solution by applying yourself much more to a long-standing health problem or a long-standing career work problem of some sort. And 6th house is debts as well. So maybe some old debts can come back, so you apply more wisdom, more knowledge to resolve that, and you resolve it by July, by August, when Jupiter is moving direct again. 6th house is also your employees. Or maybe some employees from the past will come back and want to work with you again. Or maybe your cleaner or nanny has gone and now she comes back. This can be something as simple like that. Sorry. 6th house is also, if you're a manager, the people that you're managing, the people that you work with. So there might be some surprises there, because the planet is retrograde, the need to adapt, to make changes in those working relationships in some sort. Or maybe some issue comes to the surface that has to be reworked, but because wisdom is all-knowing and so knowledgeable planet, it's usually resolved in an amicable way over the next 3-4 months, and is released after that and starts moving forward again. Or maybe you've applied for a job and you haven't heard to them and you've forgotten about that, and now Jupiter turns retrograde. Well, you might hear for a job that you've been trying to get, or maybe for someone that you wanted to employ, that they come back to you and say, now I can work with you, now I can work for you, So retrogradation can also bring us something from the past connected to our work, connected to work possibilities, the old project that we've been working on, and we say, I can brush it up now, and I can, or old skill, 6th house about perfecting your skills and knowledge is a Virgo's house, so you might be Jupiter might be requiring you to brush up on some old skills and knowledge for the next few months to perfect them. And 6th house is also not only health problem, but health solution, or health specific routines that you have that maintain your health. So maybe you used to run, or maybe you used to be vegetarian, but you stopped doing that. Jupiter goes retrograde and you go back to being a vegetarian, or you go back to eating meat because you realize that actually meat, you need it now, you need the protein, You can retrieve back or go back to an old habit of some sort, and not necessarily, negative, but old habit or old health routine or something that helps you in some way. Okay, that's about Jupiter in the 6th house, going retrograde. Well, we haven't covered everything, but I can't think of anything else. 6th house is also enmities. So it might be like an old enmity that you haven't resolved fully, that comes back in the next 6 months to be worked through and to be found a solution in a Jupiterian way. And Jupiterian way is, and of course it's in Scorpio, so Scorpio is a bit ruthless, but Jupiter is a kind planet. So the combination is like some enmity can come back, you can feel a bit ruthless, but there can be a kind solution to it, or a higher minded, higher moral solution it allows you to look at some enmity or at some competition or some, because sixth house rules our enemies and people that we don't get along with, you know. So it allows you to see it from a higher perspective, Jupiter. When it's retrograde, to see some old enmity, unresolved issue, unresolved argument, or even some litigation. Sometimes sixth house in ancient astrology rules litigation, unresolved issue. To see it from a higher perspective, even if it's a bit painful because it's Scorpio energy after all, and to release it, or to work on it for 4 months and to be rid of it, you know. Okay, then we have your planet Mercury from around from the 23rd of March. Yes, is it the 23rd? Yes, from the 23rd of March till the middle of April, Mercury is going retrograde, guys, in Aries in your 11th house. So, again, as I said, people who already, if you're Gemini and you have Mercury retrograde, they kind of feel in their own waters, and they can function easier and better than others when it's retrograde. They're used to the intensity of the retrograde. And by the way, retrograde Mercury people have a unique way of thinking. Retrograde planets are not debilitating. They're stronger. They require more effort. It might take longer for you to manifest the retrograde planet. Just like I speak in my retrograde planet course. It's a 5-hour webinar where I actually explain how a retrograde planet can actually be one of the strongest planets in the horoscope, and what exactly it gives. It might give delays, but how it manifests in your life. So yes, 11th house is about friendships. So one thing can happen is that the old friend you haven't heard from, or a colleague or acquaintance of some sort, you might hear from people you haven't heard in some time, you know. And that's a good house for Gemini. The 11th house is a friendly aspect to Gemini, and it's you might even feel, because it is in Aries, kind of spurred on and enthusiastic about reconnecting with people from the past, particularly friends, not so much romantic, but people that you have kind of a network together. You are part of a group of some sort. There might also be the need to speak with a friend and to say things that have been buried from the past that you haven't spoken about, or a friend might approach you and say, listen, let's talk about this and that, and bring up things from the past, even if it's from the very recent past, but something that was unspoken that is brought up to the surface, that becomes more intense. This is what the retrograde period is. So it can create some mini crisis in friendships or in communications with friends, with colleagues, people in your social economic environment, basically the 11th house. Mercury is a planet that is strongly focused on balance, interestingly enough, and it wants to bring that balance eventually. And if there is no balance, it can break up a friendship, it can break up an acquaintanceship when it's retrograde, because you just see it from a different perspective now, and you say, well, it's not worth it, or they think that. But if there is a desire to negotiate on both sides, to communicate, this problem can be sorted out during the Mercury retrograde. In a relation, in some group environment, for example, or in a friendship, and it can create a much more stable relationships later on when Mercury starts moving direct. The 11th house is also the house of gains, material gains and goals. So it can also mean that you're working using your skills, 12th house, on some socio-economic material goal of yours. That you have to, for example, you might be wanting to bring out a book, or to be or some project again, the 11th house is very much connected with gains, and you might have to revise something there. You might have to edit something in that project or whatever it is that is meant to bring you gains. 11th house is also the house of higher degrees, MBA, something above university, you know, kind of honors and titles as they call it. So you might be working very hard on some exams there, on having to apply your skills extra with 3 times more effort on completing and editing such projects connected that can bring you titles and honors. Or you might be working on some project because 11th house is bonuses from your career, gains, you know, overall. So you might have to be working on something extra hard again through your skills to perfect it, to change it, that has to come back again, to be done over and over a few times. That can lead, if you do it correctly and well, and you take the attention to detail that Mercury requires, and using your skills, if you do it correctly, it can lead to more gains for you by the time of the end of April, possibly. The results you'll see when Mercury turns direct. Okay, so that's what it is. Let's see, is Mercury going to be doing difficult aspects while it was retrograde? Yes, it will, for certain, with Saturn and with Mars, but that's going to happen in April. So the first part of April, where there will be some complications, possibly, and some challenges that you meet in regards to friendships, in regards to socio-economic goals, titles, honors, recognition from others, is the 11th house as well. Okay, and so these are the 2 most important events that we talked about. We also have Venus here in your 11th house, so it's helping actually ease whatever complications are happening till the end of March with Mercury in the 11th house, and it's allowing you already to kind of enjoy the process of the 11th house that we talked about, that Mercury retrograde will intensify, but it's allowing you to be agreeable and to be more compromising and to be more fair again and balance in that situation, not to wrap yourself in a ball too much, you know, getting too stressed, because Venus is a soothing, healing planet. And you're gonna have Mars entering. Mars is in your 7th house, by the way, guys. Almost till Mars is in your 7th house till the 19th, 18th of March. So to the 18th of March, 7th house is relationships with others. You might be much more like going after creating relationships. You're very initiative because Mars is energy and drives 7th house is relationships with others. So if you want to create new partnerships, if you want to create new business deals, you have the drive and you are spurred and you take the initiative. You can take a lot of initiative in regards to creating business deals, pursuing business deals to clients, pursuing a relationship one-to-one. But the 7th house is also others, and sometimes we can project the planet that's transiting the 7th house through others, so you can attract people that are more Mars-like, that are more bossy, that are kind of, you know, willing to challenge you more. And actually, when Mars in the 7th house, our drive and energy can often come through others. So others can even say something that annoys us and irritates us, so that we feel competitive about, that triggers us to do some change, because Mars is planet of changes. Mars wants to break through old barriers, through old, Mars is the planet that gives us the courage to break through, what's that called? When we have a comfort zone, to break out of our comfort zone. So now, other people motivate us to break out of our comfort zone and doing something always the same way. So even though they might challenge us and provoke us, be careful. You will feel till the 20th of March, definitely already in February, because Sagittarius is the whole February in your 7th house, and till the 20th of March, there will be some provocations, not all the time, but from others that are more feisty, with fights with clients or with partner, that is more reactive or that makes you more competitive. But don't be negative, because if you focus on negative, you just focus on the anger others are causing you. But actually, they're trying to activate your physical energy or your drive to break through your comfort zone in certain areas. Don't blame them. Don't just look and say, how can I benefit from this fight? Or what is it trying to say to me? And I've noticed that whenever I have Mars activating the 7th house in any way, people drive me, like clients and stuff. I just always get all the feisty ones coming all at once and making complaints or being angry, and I get competitive and upset, and I learned, don't overreact. Of course I would fume and I would be upset, but what you do is you start thinking maybe they have a point, maybe there is a better way to do something, and to come out of my comfort zone. And so these people, they act when Mars is in the 7th house as activation for drive to get you going in some way. And if you want to break through walls and barriers, do certain associations and business partnerships now, they will help in that. And then after the 20th of March, all those kind of irritants in regards to your relationships disappear because Mars goes in the 8th house. Then you have to be more careful with your finances and resources because we tend to be more impulsive then. But that's, we'll talk about that in the April videos. So thank you so much, Gemini. Hope you enjoyed that one. You're prepared for March. Interesting times. And do check out our new webinars, our courses. We're constantly bringing out very unique information, very unique astrology courses that are not like the ones you'd find like general astrology courses, very specific. So thank you very much.